Basically, China is just unlikely partners. China and Israel deepening trade ties in the BBC, 19th of July 2018. Why are they unlikely partners? Just don't understand why they're unlikely partners. It's like, I know it's the BBC, the Bolshevik Israelis and the Bolshevik Chinese on the Bolshevik British Broadcasting Corporation. On paper, Israel and China are unlikely close trading partners. China, the world's second largest country, is the biggest exporter on the planet, while Israel, a tiny strip of land in the Middle East, is only in 45th place in the global exporting league table. Well, that's set to change, but only in military intelligence for cybersecurity. So given the current trading spat between US and China, you would expect Israel to be firmly on the American side. Yet what many people don't know is that Chinese investment in Israel is continuing to boom at the same time as a growing number of Israeli firms are entering the Chinese marketplace. Bingo! So while President Trump is slapping tariffs on Chinese exports and talking tough, Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu is happily encouraging his country's firms to accept Chinese investments. And remember, all of Wall Street was pouring all the money into Beijing. This is Israel's siphoning off of America's wealth. In 2016, China's direct investment in Israel almost tripled to $16 billion, according to a report in the South China Morning Post newspaper. Meanwhile, the Jerusalem Post predicts that China will overtake the US as the number one source of overseas investment in Israel. So what has brought the two countries together, and should Israeli firms be cautious? Why is the BBC framing it that, should Israeli firms be cautious? Oh my God. They're all brokering these deals on Wall Street in the City of London on basically the newly formed Hang Seng after the Nikkei Dow just refused to buy any more commercial paper from Wall Street, basically, which caused, prior it caused the dot-com bubble, and then it caused the subprime mortgage bump. So they went, right, Japan, you can't be allowed to be involved in this because you keep spilling the beans. So they moved and they set up the Hang Seng in Hong Kong. So over the past 2 decades, the Israeli economy has established itself as a leading hub of technological development. Well, it would, with Jonathan Pollard having stolen all of America's, secrets. Commentators say that Chinese firms want to get their hands on that technology at the same time as Israeli companies want better access to the giant Chinese marketplace, which always America had been promised, and obviously that's not forthcoming. The Chinese are leveraging Israeli tech to fuel their economy. Israel is held in high esteem as a hub of innovation, says Haggai Tal, chief executive of Taptica, an Israeli mobile advertising company. Have you tried advertising? Try advertising on Israeli mobiles, see how you get on. China is set on learning as much as it can in order to position itself as an innovation economy. Meanwhile, Israeli companies also see important opportunities in the East, and at the meeting point of these two approaches is what produces such successful business partnerships. To help bring Israeli and Chinese companies together, a number of business events are now held every year, such as Silicon Dragon Israel, which took place in Tel Aviv at the start of the year, and the China-Israel Innovation Summit, which was held earlier this month in Guangdong, formerly known as Canton, which was where the Jews were using British relations to set up camp to fuel what became the Opium Wars and ultimately the Jewish takeover of China with the Chinese Revolution, the Long March, and the Cultural Revolution, the Marxist cultural Marxism. Rebecca Fannin, the founder of Silicon Dragon Israel, says Israeli tech startups that have secured Chinese investment tell her they are progressing faster with Chinese capital, and through introductions, collaborations, and easier access to the large China mainland markets. In recent years, Israeli firms that have either been bought outright by Chinese companies or sold them share of their business include Medical Lasers Operation Alma Lasers and Medical Devices Group Luminous. Others are Israeli dairy business Tnuva, image recognition firm Cortica, and gesture control group Extreme Reality. I don't know what a gesture control group is, but I do know that the Chinese are pretty much stuck on their own traditional medicine, and the cost of non-Chinese medicine in China is through the roof. So like what, maybe 20 pence for a packet of paracetamol or 50 pence, it's about £12 over there. An aubergine in Beijing in 2006 was $8. Is it not an aubergine? An avocado. Roy Ben-Yosef, an Israeli-based manager at investment fund Samsung Next, says the Chinese are mesmerized by Israel and its technology exporting capabilities. Other commentators say that the different national characteristics of the two countries complement each other. Peggy Mizrahi, a Chinese citizen who lives in Israel, says the Chinese are known for long-term planning and being conservative and hierarchical, unlike the commonly recognized Israeli mindset of being fast, innovative, flexible, and having a lack of respect for authority. Daniel Galili, an Israeli expat who has lectured in business at Beijing Gili University, adds that the education system in China places great emphasis on discipline and obedience to superiors, while the Israeli education system and the Israeli army encourage, and they obviously have conscription, encourage students and soldiers to think about new ideas and to solve problems in situations of uncertainty. The Chinese understand that, and so they strive to integrate the Israeli creativity into their economy. And this is where Britain failed, because they tapped into the Chinese psyche with Harry Potter and all this sort of Englishness, and now they've just switched rails and put the Chinese train onto Israeli path. See how that works? Like they'll tie Israel and England together. However, it's just not Chinese firms that are benefiting from closer trade ties between the countries. More like it's not Chinese firms that are benefiting from closer trade ties. Spotad, an Israeli digital advertising firm, entered the Chinese market last year after securing funding from a Hong Kong-based private equity firm. The company now works with all the major Chinese online advertising exchanges. Well, didn't they do well? Other Israeli firms that are continuing to make inroads into the Chinese market include mobile marketing firm AppsFlyer and diamond trading platform Carrots. So you can see how I'm describing how they tapped into the Chinese mind with the Englishness. Then they tapped into the Chinese mind with the Americanness. And then, again, they've changed the rails now. So whereas America was set to prosper from the Chinese markets, Europe was set to prosper from the Chinese markets. Actually, Israel is going to be the one, because aren't they just right now in dire need of enjoying all of the benefits that the West has basically paid China to create for both sides, both for China and for the West, and Israel just comes in and just gathers all the cream, it takes all of the praise, the accolades, is going to be dominant in the market because of all the cyber security, military intelligence that is their niche, thanks to Henry Kissinger, with the whole nuclear arms sort of secrecy methods. What is it? President Kennedy said, secrecy is abhorrent in a democratic form society. You get me gist. More from the BBC series, taking an international perspective, how the US is waging its trade war with China, which obviously it's at the whim of Israel as to whether America